Greetings. We're rolling. This Freedom Phil like to describe. What's today's topic? Does it matter if you waste your time if on the counter to that most people work and waste their profits to the point where it was just wasted time anyways? Where am I going with this? Freedom Phil like to describe. Let's get into it. And always remember, turn up the video speed. You should be watching this when I upload it to, let's say 1.5. I think about these things at time, and also, once again, hey, this is not a kid's channel. I talk about real things, and if you're a parent and your kid just randomly watching anything on the internet, you're a shitty parent. You should know what your kids are doing. I was thinking about this the other day when it comes to, yes, there's times I think to myself out here in the wasteland, I'm wasting my life to some degree, but then I thought about most people and what their production produces, and at the end of it, the apex, everything that's achieved from what you've done. And the end of the day, most people work so they can waste their money. And they buy things that are equivocally consumable. Like ammunition. You fire it, it's used. Maybe you can reload it, but most people don't. Going to a restaurant. There's nothing wrong with occasionally doing such things. But being honest about it, I mean, it's just food. You eat it, whether it's you cooking at home, something that's actually really good, probably more nutritious and a better price, or you having steak and lobster. You could gloat about it, but at the end of the day, it still turns into a turd. It's the outcome of things at times that I think matter. Like, if you're going to get really nothing, like I get a lot of pleasure out of playing video games and listening to different things online, walking my dog through the desert. So there is a certain reward for that. But I could see how a lot of people would say, well, you should be working, you should be putting away more money for retirement. I agree with that. I should. And probably next spring, I'll have to be cheap meat in the seats for some company, even with 9 years of experience, just the way the game works. Sure, I'll do it for a number of years. But the differences between me and a lot of people is when I go out and work, because I do minimalism, I actually have profit to show for my year of existence doing whatever I'm doing. And I actually happen to like trucking. So for me, it's just a bonus. Most people, though, that even rich people, even well-to-do people, at the end of the year, hopefully they've got a little less knocked off their house. They can still afford their cars. They can still afford their lifestyle. And hopefully they've got just a little bit saved on the side. That's not most people. So I want to talk about the nature of this. And part of this comes from, I guess, some of the work I've done over the course of my life, the tranquility I've had when I lived in the woods, when I've done van life, even tranquility in trucking to some degree, where a very laid-back existence. Yeah, this story comes from back in the first stage of progress, as I refer to it, when I was a garbage man and I was living in a van, the battle van at that point, or the party van, whichever one. Could have even been the Blazer or the Proto van. I remember I was picking up this dumpster out near Port Ludlow, little ways north of there. I think it's Oak Bay or something like that. I'm sitting there picking up this dumpster, and this house is, it was built probably back in the 60s. It's a nice house. And then apparently the owner of it recently passed on, and the kids were going through and cleaning out the house. And as I dumped this dumpster, I saw so many books, and these were books of, these were actually intelligent books. Stuff used for, all sorts of creation of, science and all that other crap. It's kind of hard to remember what they were. But the point is, I could tell that these weren't just like novels and paperbacks of useless crap. Those are the type of things you should, maybe get at the library, have them temporarily. These things and some tools and some other things were just in the garbage. And that got me to thinking, this is kind of where I have this thinking, at the end of all of it, we're all just reduced back to dirt. We come from dirt, go back to the dirt. From the land springs the food and the things that our parents eat, allows them to survive, and then they bump uglies. And then you come into this world and you're around doing the same thing practically that your parents do, with different clothing, different variations. And then eventually we all go back to dirt. At the end of that guy's life, and I could tell he was an accomplished individual, reading the runes of the trash. His life could be summed up with maybe he raised some kids. Maybe he had accomplished something. Things that the kids will come back to the kids. But his accomplishments in a decade or two will likely be forgotten. Maybe not even that. A lot of times before you even die, people have already forgotten your accomplishments, your contribution to your field, your this, your that, unless you are really on top of everything. So that fades into obscurity quite quickly, unless you're someone who's extremely notable. But when it comes to the children, they come through, they pick up the few heirlooms that matter to them, and then whatever they can sell, they sell. And the rest either ends up in a dumpster or a car crusher. That is the sum of your existence. So one could argue, the more crap you have, the more crap that somebody else has to get rid of. The more crap you have, the more crap you have to maintain. So I could actually see that some of the things this individual had, these were tools. And there's actually, see, the difference between the consumable and the tool is like, the tool is something you can do something with. Knowledge is a tool. Taking time to actually learn knowledge to improve your life is, I think, a worthwhile goal. Like if you learn a better way to garden, or let's just say, as an example, you like doing the medieval fairs. So you get a sewing machine, you learn how to make your own clothing. Maybe even learn how to do it to where you set up a merchant stall and you sell it on the side. Like let's just say you did the hero's journey when you're young, retirement by 30 or 7 to 10 years. And at that point, you're actually doing what you want to do. You've been taking consignments. These tools are things you can use over and over again. Things to take care of. I see value in that. But then we come back to the concept of work. And we put so much emphasis on work. We work because there's things we want. We work because there's bills we need to pay. And if we didn't have to pay those bills, we wouldn't worry about it, would we? How many people would just keep on toiling away if they didn't have to? And the answer is most people would drop their job tomorrow. Want proof of that? Look at how many people are good, hard-working Americans. I don't take no handout. And then the Social Security says, hey, you can get your check now. And they're like, bye, bitches. You know? Someone wins the lotto. Bye, bitches. You get it? The work is merely the means. And this is one of the things I think the left really screwed up on. Where they're like trying to make your job your purpose. And even the right does it a lot. You know, like, the whole idea of the corner office and all that nonsense. And of course, the lifestyle that goes with it. You know, cars, clothes, crap, all this shit. And you have to basically toil away for this. Cars are a tool, but they're also kind of like a consumable tool. And by the way, the car is like a lifespan. The more you use it, the quicker it dies. You know? And that's the thing about it. So the quicker you get out of the game, the quicker you get to the point where you can buy one vehicle and have it last the rest of your life. The quicker you get out of the game, the quicker you can get to where you have your retirement already set up, making you money. So to me, my outlook is fairly simple. The production of work isn't for consumables. And tools, yes, are a good thing. Knowledge is a good thing. But it's to get to the point where your money makes you money. And with you making money, then you don't have to go back to work, which reevaluates the whole concept of what is wasted time. Because a lot of people, because they're so stuck on that consumables, consumer mindset. If you're not working, well, if you're not working, you can't go out and party. You can't go out and buy this thing. You can't all have that. And it's just like, it's one shiny object after another. Just like when you watch TV and you watch, like, there's a cartoon station that has pretty much Hanna-Barbera and a bunch of other things on there. And I'm watching it thinking, it's amazing how many of these TV shows were literally just an advertisement for a toy, just like anime, just like a lot of video games. Like they say in Japan, and they don't hide it. They try to hide it here, but that's all BS. What it is they make the show, and if the show's successful and sells by success, sells a lot of toys, then they make more things for it, like video games and memorabilia and all sorts of, t-shirts. You guys remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle t-shirts and stuff from back in the day? And that's how it works. And I think it's funny when I watch it and I think, how much of all of this, all the effort, all the money, all the materials, all the plastic, all the garbage, all the metal, all of it was something that people spent their time on, worked, attained, threw away, and maybe the toy could be argued it was a tool to a certain degree for a while, but eventually ends up in the trash. To the irony where, because so many of them ended up in the trash, a mint condition still in the box is for some reason worth, well, I mean, it makes sense, they become rare. It's worth a lot because collectors want them. That same mindset is the same mindset you see with cars, clothes, and everything else. And I just think that to me, that is a level of foolishness that I personally look at, and I think, I'm just like, okay, come on. If you're going to tell somebody not to waste their time, kicking back, playing video games, hiking through the desert. I mean, basically, when you have almost no bills, and you can actually go out and do whatever you want with your life and your time, and as you wish and as you please. If you're going to tell somebody that that's wrong, well, can we at least go to the other side and say you made $100,000, $150,000, and yet you only got maybe $5,000 at the bank at the end of the year? I mean, if what I'm doing is a waste of time, then what you're doing is a waste of time and effort. And that's it right there, I don't really see the difference. I think once you've got the point in life where you've got enough money and investments, you got paid off property, or you got it figured out to where you're good for the rest of your life, there is absolutely no reason, unless you want to work that job, that you should work a job. And really, that's the beautiful point everybody should want to be at. Not that you don't have to work. No, actually, that you don't have to work, but you work if you choose to. Because this is what the thing, they sell all these bullshit dreams in middle school, high school, and so forth. And, when you're a kid, what do you do when you want to grow up? No, what are you going to do that's profitable so you can get out of the game as young as possible? Then you can do whatever you want to do. Just like I was giving you the example earlier, let's say someone loves doing the medieval fairs, the SCA or whatever version of it. And they make clothing, they maybe make chainmail, they make leather work. They just love doing that. Someone that loves gardening. Someone that wants to be kind of a casual farmer. Wants to be the thing they want to be. Minimalism gets you to that point sooner, vastly sooner. And then it gets away from this whole thing. And I don't know. If you really think about it, who are the ones who really want you to work the most? The people that are producing the crap that you're going to buy, use, and throw away. So how much of our mindset in this Western world, in the world in general, is produce for what? Produce for GDP? I see a lot of people that produce a lot of capital, a lot of GDP, and they're not happy. And I don't know. Is there an afterlife? Is there not an afterlife? I don't know. I know a lot of people, no, there's a God. I see no proof of it. But if this is the only life we've got, and even if there is something after this, where does it say in your holy books that you need to work at the all-encompassing altar of consumerism? I'm not a communist. I'm a capitalist that just understands that consumerism is a waste of time, effort, and the fragile amount of grains of sand you got of your life. Now, if I get my bills as ridiculously low as I have got them, and I can spend my time hiking, playing video games because my bills are almost nothing, I don't see that as a waste, because I'm actually profiting in my happiness. As where I see so many people, just to get by every day, every year, they piss away everything. And sometimes they end up with nothing after they're 60 years old and they're still broke after working the whole time. I'm just saying. Reevaluate why you're doing things. Be an investor, not a consumer. Buy tools and knowledge, not just things that you're going to poop out. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe, take it easy.